All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to April 19th, 2026. Speaking of Zane, this is the 333rd edition of Speaking of Zane. We've been going since August of 2018, well before COVID, a couple of years after Zane passed. But we've been going pretty strong since. We have had a little gap here. It's been, 2 or 3 weeks, I think, since we were together last. I travel a lot. I'm still working. A lot of you are retired. And I am still grinding it out here. So I'm not, I'm at a point where I'm not necessarily able to do every Sunday night, but that's okay. It's okay. I enjoy it when we are able to. And good to have everybody in here tonight. Let's see who we've got. We've got Lori in here. My good friend Daryl is in here. Ken's in here. Carl's in here. All right. Well, we got a good turnout, and we'll have some more along the way, I'm sure. Always have some that watch the recording, but well, man, there's been a lot going on in the world over the last 6-8 weeks. Everything going on in Iran. We have lost some forces in hostile fire and accidents. It's bound to happen. It sucks. It's terrible when it does. My personal opinion is I would rather us do what we're doing right now so that my grandkids don't have to worry about it. That's what keeps me grounded. As difficult as it is to see the sons and daughters of our citizens losing being lost in this. I don't know. We've not had leadership that was willing to do what it takes, I think, um, and finally we do. So that's my posture. It sucks. It's terrible. I cry every time we lose somebody, but somebody's got to step up and be the adult in the room. And as terrible as it is that we're losing some, um, it's hard to say um, it's worth it, but you know, when we served, we knew that there was always a chance we weren't coming home, and I think that's the way it is with these folks today. And I'll tell you what, they're absolutely nailing it. I mean, these troops that we've got today are the absolute best that we've ever had. I mean, the precision and the resolve that they have, just incredible. And they're, Ken and Todd and Daryl, they're less than half our age, and they're out there just tearing it up. And I'm proud of every one of them. Um, but anyway, there's been a lot of losses since we were last together. I've not had a chance to compile all of them. I think the one that stands out the most to me is the KC-135 that we lost 6 in that tragic crash. I can't imagine the last moments of their life. I was talking to my friend Daryl this past week. We were able to grab some dinner together, and we were talking about it. But I'll tell you, the sacrifice that Americans have made from the absolute very beginning continues to this date. And freedom's not free. Freedom, it takes sacrifice. It takes hard work and hard choices. And I know one thing: if we don't do what we're doing, if you're passive and you just let things happen to you, what kind of life is that? Anyway. All right, we got Todd in there. We got Toby in there. Good to have everybody in there. All right, well, let's see what we've got going since the last time. I've been on this training regimen for this 50-mile march that I'm doing. I'm a little bit scared about it, honestly, because it's going to be super hot in August in Omaha. But I did my 20-mile qualifier. I think I talked about it last time, but the conditions were perfect. The weather was great. I felt great. My shoes were great. Everything was great. I did 14 miles out, 6 miles back, and I'm like, I can conquer the world. But I know the 50-mile is going to be another animal. But I'm glad that I got the 20-miler behind me. I'm officially qualified. I've raised all my funds. You got to raise at least $2,500. I've raised $3,655, and probably will raise more than that along the way. I'll probably get $5,000, but all for veterans, right? All for homeless veterans, all for veterans that are going through some sort of challenge. All that money, and they're expecting to raise over $1 million in this effort. And my little piece of it's just is a small piece, but I'm thrilled. I'm excited. I'm training. I did 5 mile, almost 6 miles yesterday. I'm ramping up to do a couple of 10-milers. Just to keep my stamina and everything going, so that when August comes and I've got to do the 50-miler, I'm in good shape. But yeah, I'm excited about that. So, but we've got some other things in between now and then. We've got the Running to Honor 5K that we've done for, 6-7 years now. But I'm going to be doing. Well, Lori and I are going to Michigan to do the race for the very first time in person in July. And then like a week later, I'll be doing it in Amsterdam with a group of colleagues, and then again in London the next week with some colleagues. So we're gonna maximize the running to honor 5K. Well, let me show you. Let me show you something here. The if I can find it. The running to honor 5K. Yeah, let me show you the design for the race shirt. Now, my company and I have worked it out to donate $2,000 to the running to honor, and for that $2,000, Aaron has assured me I get unlimited number of registrants, which means they'll get a race kit, right? The shirt, the finisher's medal. There's a very nice challenge coin that Aaron is having made specifically for Zane. Just fantastic. Anyway, let me share with you what the shirt looks like. It's I like the design of it. Let me see if I can share here. Stick with me. Share screen. Here we go. Nope, not that one. That's the one. Okay. Had to poke around a little bit here. You guys see that? That is what this year's race shirt's going to look like for the Running to Honor 5K. It's that, Todd, you may remember back some time ago when the Air Force started experimenting with this blue camouflage pattern. That's what this reminds me of, but it's really kind of unique, but it's got the classic Running to Honor logo there, and on the back, freedom is never free, never forgotten, with the kneeling soldier at the battlefield cross. But yeah, I'm excited about that. And so Lori and I will be driving up to Michigan because I've got to pick up all of the race shirts that I'm taking to London with me. So we'll load them all up, and I'll take one entire suitcase full of shirts and medals with me in August over to London, then to Amsterdam, back to London. But anyway, that's what the shirt looks like. So that's kind of cool there. Well, let's see what else. Yeah, so we'll be doing a lot of physical fitness kind of things between now and then. The Running to Honor in Detroit, and then Running to Honor in Amsterdam, then Running to Honor in London, and then back home, and then in August doing the 50-mile march in Omaha. So Lori and I will be going up to Omaha. I think we're going to drive. I think I'll be ready for a road trip by then. I need to take, I need to take a chair for the rest stops, and a bag full of stuff, and my rucksack, and all the stuff. So I think we're going to drive, which will be fun. We haven't driven that in a little bit, so it'll be kind of fun to take a drive from Atlanta to Omaha, spend a little bit of time there on before the ruck, and then after, and so we'll see how things go. But speaking of travel, I have been on the road a little bit. I've been in St. Louis 3 of the last 4 weeks, I think. Finally getting at, after having that, what do you call it, Lori, the lung thing I had, having the blood clots in my lungs and all that stuff. I didn't get to travel much in November, December, January. Then I picked it back up, and now it's been, pretty consistent. I've been in St. Louis the last, 3 out of the last 4 weeks. I had a week with my team in Tampa. I'm actually home this entire week, which is nice because I head to London on Saturday, and then I get back from London the following Saturday, and then I head to Southern California on the Monday for most of the week, and then I'm home for a week, and then it's like every other week I'm somewhere all the way into September, October. But I don't mind. I don't mind. I'm having a good time. I'm doing good work. I'm enjoying it. Good stuff. Let's see. What about baseball? Baseball. Braves are killing it. Actually, I don't get to watch all the games because the Braves have their own channel now. You got to pay $99 for the season. I haven't got around to doing it. I've caught a few games on Fox, and it's just this whole MLB and the streaming and all the stuff is just crazy. And then you get the blackouts. You know, you can't watch your own home team. I don't know. I'm kind of fed up with it, but I do listen to the games on the radio more than I do on television, obviously. But the Braves are in first place right now, National League East, and I think we're 14-7, which is a pretty good start. So we'll see how things go for the season. Hadn't been to a game yet, but boy, with all my travel, I don't know how I'm going to fit some games in, but we'll figure it out. Well, let's see. What else is going on at the fabulous McDonald Estate and Insane Asylum? Our son Jackson, our Air Force son Jackson. You remember Jackson flew on the AC-130 gunship, and and he's now took a job with Endeavor, which is a Delta regional, as a flight dispatcher. This is the big boy job. Flight dispatcher. He had to go to school for it. He had to pass an FAA exam, and Endeavor hired him. Well, he had to move to Minneapolis, Minnesota. So he's been up there for a few weeks, coming back and forth. And this over this weekend, Friday, he and I and his friend from the Air Force Presser, we loaded up the U-Haul, and him and his dog Bill drove all the way from Atlanta to Minneapolis. His wife Caitlin and daughter Carson flew up on Friday morning. Lori took them to the airport. But now they're all together up in Minneapolis. He's starting off this new career. I'm so happy for him. Very proud of him. It's definitely a big boy job. If you know anything, do a Google search on flight dispatcher, and you'll get the serious. You'll understand the serious nature of that job. But I'm excited for him. He has worked real hard for this, and now they're in an apartment in Minneapolis. It was hard to say goodbye, but that little 6-year-old granddaughter of ours, she was the one we saw the most often, and now the house is empty. It's just Lori and I in this big old house, but we'll figure it out. And then so now I have a son working for Delta Endeavor. So now we have all these flight benefits, friends and family flight benefits with Delta, like we had with United, because our daughter Charlotte works for United. And so now we've got options. So our travel has just gotten even better. So I'm so grateful to both of them. But speaking of Charlotte, she's like the senior geopolitical analyst with United. And she advises their board and their president on what their posture should be at anywhere they operate in the world, based on the geopolitical implications. And she is tomorrow. She heads out to Venezuela. Can you believe it? Her work has taken her to Venezuela. They're paving the way to get the commercial flights going again, and she's representing United. And she said it got real this afternoon when she sent us her itinerary, where she was staying, picture of her passport, who she was going to be with, where she was going to be. I know she's a little bit nervous about it, as is expected, but they do have security. She's got a security detail with her, but I'll be happy when she gets home. Let's put it that way. But she's doing serious work. She's doing big boy work there at the airline, and so proud of her. And she and I are going to be taking some trip. We do a trip every year together somewhere, and we'll be doing one this year. Stay tuned. It should be exciting. I'm going to have to squeeze it in with all my work travel, but I'll get it figured out. So, hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week, hat of the week always has something to do with what the heck is going on around here. And this week, since Charlotte is going to Venezuela on behalf of United Airlines, I'm wearing my United Airlines hat. So now the burden is on Jackson to get me an Endeavor or a Delta ball cap, and I'll wear that on an episode of Speaking of Zane. All right. Well, let's see. Lori, you can chime in there if I'm missing out on anything there. But I do have some this week in military history items. These are fascinating. Stick with me on these. Okay. Well, let's start. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have to do with April the 14th. April the 14th. Well, let's start back in 1865. On April the 14th, President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated at Ford's Theater. April 14th, 1865. Fast forward to April 14th, 1912. Guess what happened on April 14th, 1912? The Titanic struck the iceberg. How about that? How about that? On a better note, fast forward to 1948. On April 14th, the Air Force Reserve was founded. How about that? They just had their birthday. Fast forward another 60 years. No, not 60. 44 years or so. April 14th, 1984. Guess what happened then? April 14th, 1984. Now listen, we didn't think about Lincoln getting assassinated. We didn't think about the Titanic. But Guy and Lori got married. How about that? April the 14th. Why did we pick April the 14th, Lori? I don't know. You were in charge of all of that. I was stationed overseas. I just came back for the wedding. But Lori did a great job at the age of 19 coordinating all of this wedding festivities. But we got married on April the 14th of 1984. And let me tell you, I came back all the way back from England for the wedding. We didn't know the curse of April 14th. But the morning of April 14th, it manifests. The Inspector General kicked off, the SAC IG came to off it and kicked off an exercise on the morning of the wedding. What was it, Lori, a Saturday? It was a Saturday. Both our families were there, and the IG kicked off. We had reserved the Airmen's Club. If you guys remember where the Airmen's Club was at Offutt, back behind General's Row. Well, Lori had coordinated for us to have this expansive area of the Airmen's Club for our reception. Well, the IG kicked off. Lori calls me crying that morning. I don't know how she got hold of me because we didn't have cell phones and stuff back then. But anyway, the IG took over most of that Airmen's Club as their headquarters. So we had this little carved off partitioned area that was going to be our wedding reception area. Anyway, and then half of our attendees to the wedding couldn't make it because they got recalled. They had to go in and do the exercise and all the stuff. But fortunately, our what do you call it, Lori? The groomsmen and the maid of honor. I think they all made it. But anyway, what a way to start, huh? And then just a couple days later, I'm back overseas, and it takes another 6 months for Lori to get there. But anyway, April 14th. Well, speaking of when Lori got there, just a couple years later, on April 14th, 1986, Operation El Dorado Canyon. Do you guys remember El Dorado Canyon? Let's see if I have a picture here. Who remembers El Dorado Canyon? Was April 14th, 1986. So Lori and I I was on the squadron softball team, or squadron volleyball team, and we knew something was going on because there was a gazillion KC-10s and a bunch of tankers at Mildenhall, and our squadron was doing some installations of secure voice systems in all these planes. And then Lori and I are at a volleyball game at the gym, the base gym. Let me take that. Let me share at the base gym, and there we go. And all these planes started taking off, and next thing you know, all these F-111s from Lake and Heath are taking off. And anyway, so the rest is history. Operation El Dorado Canyon. Let me see if I can share with you what I'm trying to show. Well, shoot, I can't always see what I want to share here. Brenda Lusk is in there. Yeah, but anyway, so we had enough of Muammar Gaddafi and Libya, and so we decided to do something about it. And on April 14th, we launched F-111s from RAF Lakenheath, right next door to us, and RAF Upper Hayford, and also launched a bunch of tankers out of RAF Mildenhall, because France, being the pricks that they were, probably still are, did not let us overfly France to go strike Libya. We had to do this around France and Spain and Portugal and through the Strait, and then down into Tripoli and Benghazi. And so it meant that our airmen had to navigate some different circumstances there. But unfortunately, in the during the strike, we did lose an F-111 from Lake and Heath. Actually, I think it was a captain at the time, Captain Rebus Domenici, and Captain Paul Lawrence. Both were lost in that F-111. And you can see there the hat I still have on the left-hand side, the North Africa Bomb Comp hat that we all had made. We had patches of this and everything. But anyway, it was an interesting time there at Mildenhall. But rest in peace to the F-111 crew there that we lost. But yeah, that happened way back in 1986 when Lori and I were there. We still had a couple more years even that we were there even after that. Well, let's see. So that was all the April 14th stuff. Lincoln, Titanic, Air Force Reserve, Guy and Lori, El Dorado Canyon. But on April 18th, who remembers April 18th, 1942? Well, none of you, because you weren't alive, but do you remember what happened on April 18th, 1942? Anybody? See if I can find a picture of this. Yeah. Anybody know what happened on April 18th, 1942. Well, I'll show you. The Doolittle raid, the famous Doolittle raid, we took the fight right into the heart of Japan. This was 3 years before Hiroshima, right? This was us projecting air power off the USS Hornet with B-26s. I mean, it was unheard of. This was all incredible stuff. If you've never read the story was chronicled in this book called 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. And I read this book as a 4th or 5th grader over the summer reading program. And I think I read it from cover to cover in one sitting. I was just fascinated by this, the Battle of Britain I read. That whole summer I just read so much. But this story is absolutely fascinating. It was somewhat of a suicide mission, but you got to read it. I won't. You can go read it, go watch the movie. But that happened on April 18th. But just an incredible story of American resolve, all in the run up to it, the preparation and the execution. And anyway, so this book here, I read this book as an elementary school kid. Well, about 6 or 8 years ago, I found a copy of this book and I bought it. And this is the second edition. This is like the 1950 something edition. They did one in when it was written in the late 40s. There was an edition, and then there was another edition in like 50, I can't remember, 57 or 58. But I found the book, the 58 edition, and I bought it from someone. And this is the book right here. You can see the condition is really good. And I read it, when I got it. This is, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. I read it cover to cover again. But just one of my favorite stories there. But Jimmy Doolittle, obviously, the commander and the pilot of the lead aircraft. Captain Ted Lawson was his co-pilot. But yeah, just a fascinating story. Let's see. What else do I have on? Oh yeah, in April, April the 19th. Does anybody remember April the 19th? Carl, I remember that. You told me about that. Carl had lunch with General Doolittle, as I think Carl was a young airman at the time. But yeah, what a fascinating time that was. But so April the 19th, 1995. Who remembers what happened? April the 19th, 1995. Who remembers? April the 19th, 1995. This is sort of pre-internet. I remember I was working at First Data Corporation in Omaha. I had been out of the Air Force for a few years, was working in the data center there when it happened. Well, that was the Oklahoma City bombing. You guys remember that? You remember where you were when that happened? Yeah, the Oklahoma City bombing. Yep, Todd remembers. All right. Well, moving along. I didn't calculate Veteran Cemetery Challenge this week. It's been so many weeks now, and I just lose track of it. But Lori and I did go today to Georgia National Cemetery and paid a visit to Zane. And let me see, I've got this. Let me see what I've got here. Yeah, let me share with you. We decided to drive out there today. We're only about 20 miles away from the cemetery. So if you're going to go out there, it's you're talking an hour and a half, 2-hour investment, and it's well worth it. But today was a beautiful day. Our weather today was crazy because Yesterday, we were like 89 or 90 degrees for the high. It was a warm day. It was one of the warmest we've had. And today, the high was 59, 60 degrees. We were 30 degrees cooler for our high today than we were yesterday. But anyway, it was a good day, and so we decided we would head out to the cemetery. Lori loves to place flowers, and so she did that today. You can see the picture I got there of her preparing the flowers. There, she does a great job of that. She always has these flowers in her car, ready to go at any time, and she does these. She'll do these themed arrangements depending on the time of year, and, what's going on, and but today they were very nice. It was a very nice arrangement today that she had. Let me see if I can find a close up for you here. Yeah, there we go. Share that. There you go. Nice white and purple, and you can see on the headstone there. I'm surprised this is still here, Lori. We put that there, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, but this is the most recent running to honor finisher's medal. And I had a bunch of extras thanks to Aaron, and so we took one out there, and it's been there ever since. It's been there quite a while, but you can see it's very nice flower arrangement Lori has there. I don't know where she gets that, but she does a great job of that. There's my buddy Ted Tro in there, Ted Boris from Mildenhall days. Good to have you in there, buddy. Ted lives in New Bern, North Kakalaki. All right. Well, let's see. I think we're about at the end here. So we went out there today, and I know Daryl paid a visit to his wife Wanda this week, and does so regularly. I had a great time. By the way, I was in St. Louis this week. Speaking of Daryl, and I knew that the one night I had a previous engagement. We had a social hour and some different things, but the other night I didn't have anything planned. So Daryl only lives maybe 10 miles away, and so I asked him if he wanted to come and meet me for dinner, and he did, and we had always have a good time. But Daryl came in, and we had some dinner there in the Westport Plaza, we call it, in Maryland Heights, not far from the airport. Daryl lives in Florissant, but it's always good to see Daryl, and he looks great. Daryl's in great shape, and we had a good chat, spent some good time together. But Daryl, I appreciate you coming out. But I know Daryl goes out to Jefferson Barracks quite often there to pay his respects to his wife. And I'll tell you, I didn't, I've lost track of the Think of that challenge. I need to get back on track, but I probably had 10 this week myself, between my colleagues at work and folks in and out of the airport, etc. I just always enjoy interacting with other veterans and chatting and whatnot. So I'll probably always continue to do that. But well, let's see, Lori, anything else you can think of? I think that's about it. We will not have Speaking of Zane next weekend because I'm heading to London on Saturday. I like to go on Saturday because I get there on Sunday morning. Then I can get to the hotel, from the airport to the hotel. I can have Sunday roast. I can get back, get into the circadian rhythm and be up bright and early on Monday morning to go to the office. I usually stay about 1 mile from the office, and so I enjoy that walk to the office. And so I'll be there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's a group of about 10 of us that are taking the train from London up to Leeds. It's about a two to 2.5 hour train journey from central London to Leeds. And we're going up there for an awards banquet. The program that I lead over there, we're in contention for an award, um, best apprenticeship program in the digital space, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I don't know if we won or not, but we're on the short list and we've been invited to come to the banquet. So it's about 10 of us that are taking the train up. So we'll go up on Thursday, do the banquet Thursday evening, stay the night in Leeds, take the train back on Friday, and then I'll come home on Saturday because I got to be back to go to Southern California on Monday morning, bright and early, like 0600. And then I think after that, I got a week home. And then from then on to about September, I'm home a week, out a week, home a week, out a week, home a week, out a week kind of thing. But that's the name of the game. Until I retire, I'm 4 to 5 years probably trying to sort out what that looks like. I know I'm a young man. I'm very handsome, young-looking man, but I am getting close to retirement age, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah, Todd, I'd love to catch up with you sometime. I was just thinking about Lori and I need to get down to Savannah and visit our 2 grandkids down there, Zaylee and Colby. But Todd, are you in Rincon still, or did you move to Florida? I can't remember. Gosh, I lose track over time. But anyway, I'd love to get together and catch up either way sometime. All right. Well, that's about it. No speaking to Zane next week. Have a great week. Oh, you're in Guyton. Okay, good. So you're still in the area. So next time Lori and I come down, we'll grab a beer or something. I would love to do that and see what you're up to. But that is it for this edition of Speaking of Zane. Look forward to seeing everybody maybe a couple of weeks from now, and I'll let you know how the London trip went, and we'll see you all then. Take care, and God bless. Make it a great week. Cheers.